All right, just so you know my process, we're coming into we're finishing up today's Wednesday. We're finishing up qualifying today. So these were my notes going into the qualifying round. I just made some. It's really just kind of looking at driver and ball, trying to set up some of the par threes and figuring out what I needed on that. So then I went through and watched the videos. So I made this is my opening round notes going into the opening round, kind of what I'm going to bring and some numbers for clubs and where I'm at in the club and just giving myself some rough info. So this is what I'm going to take into it going into the opening round. Yeah, get onto the holes here. Hold on one second. All right, I got the holes up. So hole number one, my notes for the Dreaded Dunes. So here's what I have on my notes. Dreaded Dunes, opening round notes, qualifying round, I shot a minus 13. Minimum score is minus 12. So just you need to maintain that minus 12. If you're having a hard time on any hole whatsoever, you need to go back to playing for minimum score. Just put it in a spot, get on the green, get your eagle, and go to the next hole. Don't even worry about whether it gives you a great Albie shot or not. If you're having a problem on any hole, stop and fix that. Get it down, and then try and work that shot to give yourself the best shot for picking something up and move on. It's better to stop and get an eagle on that hole than it is to keep pushing the limit and getting a birdie half the time. My goal is minus 15. So the minimum's minus 12. My goal is minus 15. I think if you shoot a minus 30 and you don't win, you're probably looking at minus 28 to minus 30. I think in the weekend rounds are going to be top 10, top 5, depending on your bracket. Depending on your bracket, a 28 might win. Depending on your bracket, a minus 30 might lose. All right, so hole number one, I wrote need an eagle and I put stars by it. We need to get up here, and I did not write down. I think I'm still undecided on this one. I've been using a big topper. So if I use a big topper, my red line's out in this area right here, and I was using a Power 5 ball. And I was using a Liberty ball, but I don't have any more of them, so I'll have to pick a different one. We're using the wind here, so I want to get a ball that's got low wind. I mean, like 1 wind, 0 wind, snow globe, something of that nature, to try and get me as much distance as I possibly can on here. The problem with the reason I'm still undecided on this hole and why I'm going to play my practice account first is because I want to see the difference. I think with a big topper, I have this little teeny area. You're coming from the tee box and you're coming out here. So you're going towards this side right here, but I'm actually trying to bring it up this side. I'm trying to bring it up the other side. And the reason I'm trying to do that is because of the sand trap. I think the hitting it straight forward, let's look at where that line is. Let me get that line one more time so I make sure I know where it was intersecting out here. So we're going through this area trying to get, that's straight at it. So if we're trying to go through that, we're right through the center of the sand trap. So if we're up in this area coming through the center of this sand trap, trying to do this to get up in here, this sand trap right here is like a magnet. You're going to end up in that sand trap quite a bit, just on how it's dribbling out, because you're trying to get an S right here at the very end of the run. You have zero control at the end of the run. It's going to go in whatever direction it's going. I mean, you may have some where you can put some movement on it back here, but not like that deep in its run. So you're going to end up in the sand a lot. So my shot is to try and get the same thing, but when it ends up here, I want it to be going in this direction. So I can put side spin on it so that as soon as the ball hits the very first bounce, which is back here, the side spin takes in, and the side spin moves it like this and starts moving it in that direction. If I put curl on it, then I'm going to be bringing it in this direction. So the ball guide's going to look like it's shooting out here like this. Or like this. If I can draw, see if I can learn how to draw a straight line. You're trying, this is the shot, the straight in shot, where you're having to bounce out here. And what I want to do is I want to bring it so that if I draw the line from here, I'm coming like this. And so I'm starting it off out here and I'm trying to bring the ball in this direction. So when you do that at this intersection right here, so here's the straight line and here's where the intersection is in this area. Sometimes because the ball's coming in this direction, it'll land further out here. It'll land different because curl's not represented in your ball guide. So it's gonna, even though it's coming, it's crossing this line right here, where it actually gets that bounce is there's a slight little variable there. But think about this. If you're here, here's your spot. This is this spot right here. We're in the circle. We're in the circle. And here's the landing spot. And here's the straight in shot. And here's the shot that's got some curl. Right? When you apply that curl, that means that your landing spot's going to go to the left. And so you got to give yourself enough room on the left in order to not clip this rough right here. So if your second bounce is like out in this area and you're coming out like this and you're trying to get it to go this way, if you put too much curl on it, you'll clip this rough right here. I'm trying to look at distances. I need to go back and look at distances because I think that maybe if you bring an extra mile, that you're with a big topper, your red line distance is out here, but with an extra mile, you're coming forward. What? Let's see how many feet you're coming forward. Driver. Extra mile, 236. Big Tapa, level 6, 219, 220. So you're talking 17 yards of raw distance out in front. You know, it seems like on this hole, I've asked myself this question. If I bring an extra mile, my red line distance is up here versus a big topper here. So the big topper with all the topspin, I can get my first bounce to be here. But because I'm forward of this spot, you would think that I would be out here in the clear where I'd have the whole fairway to mess around with. But for some reason, it doesn't seem like you get that much extra distance with the extra mile. It seems like it's in the same area. Because, man, if I could get out here in front and get in front of this, there's one of the holes that's in here, and I'm not sure which one, but you can, with the right setup, you can get to the point where you can swing your arc along when you're setting the shot up, and you're in front of the trap the entire way. So you have full control of like, hey, what I want to do with that shot is that I would put that shot here, and you can either run it straight up or you could set it up more over here, and you could try and do the curl to come up this side if you really like this side. I think you're going to be more apt to get into the sand on this side than you are if you're trying to run it straight up. I have clipped this rough several times, and I've been up here a bunch of times, and I've been back in this area right here. If you draw the line for the trees, I was right in front, and I've been out here in several places where I could hit through the trees. I did try and hit over here a couple times, and I was able to get up into the fairway up here and had some shots coming in. But this is definitely a hole that we can go for the eagle on it. It's not going to be a high percentage eagle, I don't think, but there's things that we can do that will help ourselves to make that so that it will be a higher percentage eagle. All right, that was hole number 1. That was a long-winded hole number 1, just for a short little video on let's take notes. All right, hole number 2. Hole number 2, par 3. My notes say Saturn Titan 3.5 backspin. I'm going to hit my Titan 1.1, or excuse me, 1.9. 2.8, 3.3. And I'm not blue rings out. And real quick, going back from this hole to the first hole, I'm still trying to establish how I want to drive my first hole. That's why I don't have very good notes on it. That's why the first thing I try and do whenever I come to these holes is figure out, like, what is the first club? So Saturn, Titan. And I know just from coming to this hole, hitting a lot of these with a Titan, that I came to this hole with a Saturn a lot. My red line's somewhere up in this area. So I have plenty of room on my red line. And I'm trying to wedge my blue ring up so that it's touching, it's inside. I want my entire blue ring inside on the fairway, and I want everything else to be off on the rough. And that's my starting point. I'm using 3.5 backspin. And it's coming around, and then I'm doing side spin to flavor. I'm using side spin to bring it to the hole. So you're going to have a bounce that's going to be up here on the green, and then you're going to have a bounce that's going to be on the fringe, and then it's going to like roll towards the hole. I tried 4 backspin, and it was too much. And I tried 3 backspin, and it was too little. So I'm trying to work that deal in between, and it's a real close shot. And I'm playing my Saturn at 1.9 per ring. Go for hole-in-one. Okay, hole number 3. Hole number 3. You can tell the holes that I'm still working on some of these holes. Still trying to figure out the easiest way to get the minimum shot and then give myself the best look at picking up one. All right, I'm taking an extra mile and a Titan. I'm going from the tee box. Here, let's get back up because this shot, hold up. So we're looking at the whole course here. So here's the straight line to the green, and there's the shortest distance. I've tried this shot out here, and if you do this shot out here and you end up, I used a big topper. I had a 5 mile an hour wind. Wind was going forward. I left the wind in. I shot out here and I ended up no overpower, just ended up bleeding off into the rough. You can make it on with a Nirvana. If you get out into here, you're definitely looking at, I think you're probably looking at a wood. You can get up into here, you're looking at long iron. You definitely want to get up into here. So I'm taking, and there's a bunch of reasons. If you're in any kind of trouble, hey, quit doing that. If you're in any of this trouble, probably maybe even a little bit up in here. If you're in any of this, hey, you're in trouble. There's a line up here. If you're on this side of the line, you can work it up. As long as you can engage this fairway over here to bounce it up there, you're fine. You end up in the sand, if you got a Spitfire, you're fine. But if you can end up out in this area right here, you're good to go. Extra mile, Titan, max overpower. 2 less than max topspin. So I'm taking the shot from here, and I'm trying to land over in this area. And so my ball guide's going like this through the sand. Literally that's where it is when it's going through the sand. And what I'm trying to do here, my goal is the wind that we have in this tournament, if I remember correctly, is blowing somewhere in like this direction. And so what I'm trying to do is get my extra mile so that my center of my bullseye, my yellow ring, is as centered in this fairway as possible. I want to give myself plenty of room on the left and the right. And then I'm going to point it straight out into here, and then with the curl, then I'm going to put max curl on it so that instead of the ball coming on its straight line going from here to the green, it's doing this, and it's weaving its way back out, and it's ending up in this area. It does pull me at the end of the run. It does stretch the distance out. So if I tried to be straighter and ended up in here, I'd have less distance, and I'm not sure if that changes your club or if you're still on the same club or not. But the deal is that I don't really want to risk getting in the sand and having to take this shot. I'd rather lose a little distance and be out here every time than try and squeeze it up and try and get up here for a little bit. Now, if this changed me into a different club, if this changed me in the short iron, I'd probably change my tune. But if it's long iron, I'm gonna want to stay out here in the center. Stay away from that sand. That way, if you hit the goal there is that because you've got hold on. Here's your landing spot. You came in it straight and you hit it great to the left. It's going to come great to the left and it's going to go straight. You're going to end up in the sand. If you hit it over here and you hit it great to the right, you're going to come over here and it's just going to go in a straight direction. You hit it straight. So it's got these different paths, and this path is definitely different than this one. I mean, your landing area is totally different. But if you come in at it where your landing spot's here, and hold on, get the tee box in there. You're starting off here, your landing zone is here. You came at it with this curl, trying to bleed up in here. Now a straighter arc than that. You came in with this curl. Your side spin doesn't engage until the very first hit. So the second that it touches the ground right here, any side spin that you put on the ball that was, and this isn't reflected in the, you saw it in the ball guide, but it's not reflected here. So as soon as it touches, it's automatically going to the left. And then you just put max curl on it. So that's bringing it to the left. So if you hit it great to the right, so if down here in this area where you're leaving yourself, hold on, down here in this area right here where you're trying to leave yourself, you're trying to get as close to the center of this as possible. And the center is leading you off in this direction. If you hit with all that curl, you're going to go right here, and this is going to be a perfect shot. So if you hit it great to the right and you hit it straight forward, it's just going to go off to the right. But if you have all of that movement on the ball, when it hits, it hit great to the right. Yes, it did. It didn't hit in that center spot. But from that point on, it's going to do exactly what this one did. And it's going to do the same thing, and it's going to come over here. If you hit it great to the left, it's going to do the same thing, and it's going to come over here. And you basically have three different shot setups that end up in almost the same spot. Where you get into trouble is when you start hitting two ring greats, because you start to straighten that line out. And so, you know, it's hitting, and then then you start to get into a little bit of trouble. But that's okay, because you left yourself a great to the, and if you're not having to do, like this one is an overpower shot, but if you're, so it gives you more room. So why wouldn't you give yourself more room? And you can probably hit a two ring great to the left or the right and still be fine on this shot if you start off in the center. But if you start off, I'm seeing a lot of people start off where they're coming down, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to get below the sand by moving it this way. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get below the sand by moving it to the right, getting closer to the sand, and then using all of the club's curl, which is a feature of your club, to bring it out here so that I can give myself more room and I'm not pinching the fairway. I'm coming in at it trying to come in at the same angle that it is, instead of coming down here and then trying to get it to turn all of a sudden. All right, that was hole number 3. Hole number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This par 3 right here. I'm using a Saturn and a Katana. I'm starting off, and I'm blue ring off the sand. So all my blue ring is in the fairway, and then up here it's off the green. So it's the entire fringe, and then it's up against the sand. It's 1.9 per ring. I'm going to add on 10% onto the shot. I've shot perfect here a few times, and I'm still working the distance out, but I've shot some perfects, so I can review those videos again. If I hit some perfects with the 10%, if I start getting closer, and I can see if I'm, like where I'm at. Because I'm hitting some perfect shots and I'm off. and everything looks like it's set up right. So I'm trying to see if it's a wind adjustment or not. I'm going to start by adding wind on. This is definitely a good hole-in-one shot. I think there's definitely a hole-in-one that can happen on this hole. And I'm not a fan of bleeding it up on this hole, that's for sure. I don't want to engage that at all. If I could, I'd like to get even more out here. And I was bringing a Titan, so I didn't have as much side spin. So I think I have more side spin I can use now. I may be able to pull out, instead of blue rings, I may be able to pull out a little bit more and get a little bit further out this way with a 3 side spin ball. Hole number 5. This one. Hole number 5. Need an eagle with 3 stars. Par 4. Big topper. Firework ball. So if you've got power 4 balls, this is definitely a power 4 ball, especially one that has low wind. I mean, not low wind. I mean, that doesn't have a lot of wind resistance. So it's like a power, like a wind 0 or 1 or 2. The lower the better. That way you can use that wind to your advantage, because we do have, I'm not sure that we're getting a pure tailwind. I think we're getting some kind of a side tailwind. I can't remember, but I think it might be more towards this. I'm getting a big topper firework ball. My big topper can bleed it up there with max overpower. It's the deal is that anywhere that you end up here, you can get on. So this may be one of those holes where if you're ending up in the sand, and I haven't ended up in the sand or the rough. I've ended up in the rough, but I haven't ended up in the sand, I don't think. So I'm not sure if it would be better to bring a certain club or not. And I find that the Spitfire with the little, you can laugh all you want about that little bit of backspin that's on there, but it hits so high up in the air that little bit of backspin is a massive amount of backspin. So there's a lot of stuff you can get done with a Spitfire. All right. Extra mile. Or excuse me, big topper firework ball, max overpower. Bringing my rapier as my secondary club just in case. If I end up there short, I need my wedge, and it hits at max 1.5 per ring. In my practice account, it hits 1.2. Hole number 6. I'm still undecided on how I'm actually going to play this hole. The deal is I've been working this shot. The beginning of the week, I worked the layup shot. QB. Big dog and a tight. That's all it takes. And you don't have to try and get all the way in here. Just lay up right in the center. Your second bounce is going to be here. And then you're going to put on, I had like 1 less than max topspin. I wrote it down here. Rock Kingmaker, big dog. 1 less than max topspin. And it'll run right up to the hole. Easy. Get your eagle. Not a really super good shot at Albie, because you don't have enough ball guide on a big dog to see where it's going to end up. You're just doing the shot. But pretty easy eagle. Okay, shot number 2 is you're not putting on any overpower. I used a big topper and a Titan, and I got up into this area right here where I was right in front of that sand. And from there I could get I could get up here. The first time I came here, I brought a Guardian. And from right in this area right here, I could get, my red line was like up in here, so I could engage it really well with a Guardian. So the second time I came here, I hit the same shot up here, big dog, Titan, and went from here. I brought a sniper, and I was well within my red line. My red line was back a little bit, but I was very easily able to engage it with the ball guide from a sniper. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Oh my gosh. almost, I'm trying to sneeze. So I'm engaging it with my sniper, and I was using 1.0 per ring. And I wrote on my notes here, Eagle is all you need on this hole. This is all that you need on this hole. You do have a shot at Albie from up here. And it is a shot that can be worked in. So, I mean, the reward up here is that if you get up into this shot, you've got a serious shot that you can take Albie. But I will tell you that I see a lot of people trying to get further forward than this. And I'm not sure what more you'll net out there. I mean, let's look at the way it's set up. So, I mean, anywhere you get out here, there's a distance out here that you're probably going to have, you know, a very similar shot. So if you're in this area, you're bleeding through in this direction, you know, trying to get like your max would be maybe out in here. If you draw the distance from here to this spot on this arc, you know, you are getting closer. So is there a spot out here that you'll get in the long iron range? And what does that give you? Like, what's your approach at the hole? I don't think there is, and I don't know that it's worth trying to get out that far. I'm dead serious that while I'm a big fan of you got to go for it on all these holes. That there's going to be enough people in a bracket that are going to epic fail on this hole in the weekend round, that it might not be a bad idea to do the layup shot and get up there. But here's the problem with a layup shot: is layup shots are all fine and dandy on paper, because it's super easy to get into this spot if you don't get greedy. Just lay up out there. And this shot right here is pretty straightforward. But you do have to hit perfect or a one ring great to the left or the right in order to bring yourself up there. And you may end up here, end up being a little short and still have a little bit of work to get done. So this, even though it's a layup shot and it's a higher percentage, I think, you still have work to get done. And if you do the layup shot and then you don't make it, then that's like a slap in the face. So I think this hole right here is super dangerous. I think that you have a great shot up here. I mean, it's not like it's super hard to get up here, but I think this is one of those holes that you just catch it. You just catch a one ring. I've been flirting with. I haven't really got stuck up here, I think, but I've hit perfect shots and I seem to be riding along the line. So anything great to the left here might kill me. So I need to set my shot up a little bit more because I have tons of room on the right. I need to set my shot up a little bit more so I'm more in the center of the fairway. All right. I'm still undecided exactly on this hole. So hole number 6, I've got two options. Hole 6, par 5. Eagle is all you need. Number 1, rock, kingmaker, big dog. Number 2, big topper, kingmaker, sniper. 1.0 per ring if I went in. And I changed up from a Titan to a kingmaker for 2 reasons. One, it will help me down here so that I don't have to put any curl on it and I can use the little side spin to get a little deeper into that hole without having to get greedy. And on both of these second shots, it will help me because it'll cut the wind down a little bit and give me a little bit more side spin. And I may change my mind on that. I may change my mind to the Titan because of this shot right here on this first shot. It may help you on the second shot. So if you're taking the longer shot, I'm probably going to take a kingmaker. Take my big topper and a kingmaker. But if I'm doing the short up shot, I'm going to use a Titan. I want to use a Titan because that way you can use any wind to your advantage better. Especially if you're doing a layup shot like that, something you're off just a little. You've got full access to all the wind. All right, that was hole number 6. Hole number 7. Hole number 7. Par 3. Go for hole 1. Saturn, Marlin. Weekend round, we could probably change and I will change on the weekend round to a 5 wind ball. I've got my Saturn numbers at 1.9, 2.8, 3.3, and I got 1.9 circled. I put 6.5 backspin, 2 rings off. So let's see here, 2 rings off. I think I'm 2 rings off right here. I'm trying to stay as much in the flat as I can. And so I'm 2 rings off of this rough. I'm 2 rings off of that rough, and with 6.5 backspin, I'm using the backspin to set the point up here, and I'm using this point and this 2 rings off as the reference and trying to get it to go straight to the hole. If I hit one, if I do that setup where I'm 2 rings off and I do the 6.5 backspin and I find a spot where I hit that shot and I get a hole in one, then I'll go back and I'll look for the squares on the green and see where that second bounce hit. And I'll try and set it up back in that spot so that I'm 2 rings off, 6.5 backspin, touching that spot, and then that'll be my shot. That's where I'm trying to go for. And so where I'm at right now at Saturn, Marlin, 1.9, 6.5, 2 rings off. And I don't know anything about the wind yet, so I don't know if there's a wind adjustment I need to make. I'm still trying to get it so that perfect shots go right at the hole. You know, like a perfect goes there, so still working it. You know how it is. You got to work these shots for your own clubs, and the whole deal is, but we got to think like the thought process behind it, not just like, hey, I'm just taking this club out here, but like, what's the thought process behind it? Okay, extra mile, power 5 ball. I have not had the success on this hole with the power 5 ball that I would like to have on this hole, but I'm confident that with an extra mile and a 5 power ball, you can get over to here. And this is the hole right here. With an extra mile, level 8, and a 5 power ball, I can get over here where I can do a max overpower shot and ride it along like here's the arc. So you're pushing up against the red line. You're fighting up against it as hard as you can, and you can move it along the arc. And when you move that along the arc with max topspin with an extra mile, the second bounce out here all the way along the arc is in front of the sand trap. So that means that you have control of how it enters this opening. And so what I'm seeing, what I'm searching for, and what I'm seeing a lot of people do is you're trying to get it to go in this direction to move up. So you're using curl. And so you can literally come, like if you're drawing I don't know if I could draw an arc here. If you're drawing the arc, you want it to go like this. So you really need to be out in this area, not, this is the straight line. And what my problem is that I started off with the straight line trying to move it up, and you end up out here. But because I can get over on the other side, you can move it out here as well. You can move it along the arc and try and find the spot so that if you put max curl on it, you're going in this direction. So like, where's the spot? It's almost like doing a max overpower hook shot. I'm doing artillery. I'm trying to find a spot out there where if I'm pointing off in this direction and then I take the wind out, it's not about, I'm not setting it up. If I point towards this direction and then I take the wind out and I do a max overpower, or I do a max overpower shot with max curl, not a hook, just a regular shot. Then when it lands out here, it's already on this arc and it's just going up the hole. I haven't found this yet. I'm working on it, but I'm moving in this direction. I started off on a fairly straight line trying to bleed it up, and now what I'm doing is I'm moving it to the left. I'm moving it to the left to find out where the spot is out here. So maximum right hand curl will bring me through this gap. Still working on it. Extra mile, power 5. Got a Hornet 1.1, 1.9, 2.2, and a Rapier 1.5. Or 1.2 depending on it. So if I end up if I ended up out here or something happened and I ended up out in this area with my short iron. But more than likely, if you can make the shot, you're either going to end up in the rough of the sand or you're going to end up here. That's like a John Madden thing, right? Yeah, we're either going to go down and score a touchdown or a field goal. We'll have to punt. The whole goal is to try and standardize this. If you can find the spot out here, you've got a pretty nice opening right here where you've got one bounce, two bounces, and then you're kind of, even if you clip the edge, you've got enough forward speed, you just roll out in front. I like this hole though. These par fours, we need to have these par fours cut down on the weekend. We need to know what the trajectory needs to be on these holes by the weekend round because we've got to standardize. You need to pick up, if you got the minimum score, and that, depending on your bracket in this type of tournament, is probably going to net you top 20. But if you want to be in the top 10 or the top 5, you're going to have to pick up 2 per round. So where are you going to pick up those 2? That's why on hole number 5, or hole number 6, that particular par 5, I'm really thinking about just going out there and getting my eagle and moving on and not taking any risks. But there's a risk in laying up too. All right. Need an eagle on this. I got a whole bunch of asterisks. Need to get an eagle on this. If you're going to pull out it would be a shame to come out to a hole and pull out a power 5 ball and then not get the benefit of that power 5 ball. Hole number 9. I am so excited about this hole. I cannot tell you. I am just so excited about the opportunity to go into the final hole with an opportunity to get into short iron range on a par 5 and actually go for Albie on hole number 18 and have that be like a super legitimate deal. And I've been playing it with the Big Topper, and my teammates have been playing it with a Big Topper, and they've been playing it with an Extra Mile. I just believe that with the Big Topper, with the topspin, you're going to get farther forward. But with an Extra Mile, it might be about landing zone as well. So with a Big Topper and a power 3 ball, my red line max overpower is like right in this area. It's like right at the end of the mouth. And so with the wind going with us, we can bleed off into this bigger fairway, but we're only being able to bleed off into just right there at the beginning of the mouth to bring it through, to try and bridge the gap to get over to this fairway. And you don't even have to if you get an inch into that fairway, you need to jump up and down and clap your hands and high five because you are in the spot. You don't have to get all the way up to the front. If you can get it up there and get it all the way to the front, then awesome, but you don't have to get it all the way to the front. You just need to touch it and you are awesome. But with an Extra Mile, because it hits farther forward, and we'll have to go look at distances, but I mean, it's like 220, 236. So it's like 16 yards further. I mean, its red line's going to be up here. So you have a bigger area here. So where with your Big Topper is your next bounce? The closer you can get that bounce to be to the fairway, to the rough, the closer this second bounce is to the rough. And I'm going to have to go back and watch the video on that. Hold on. I'm going to go watch the video. Hold on. All right. So I went back and watched the videos for this hole. And what I've decided is I don't know. So with a Big Topper, I made it in my lower level account with a Big Topper. And what happened was my first bounce was out here. My second bounce was here. And then where it hit was about halfway, 3/4 through, and it easily bled through. It actually got a little bit of run. I think with my upper level account, I hit so far out that I think my second bounce was actually in the rough, and it didn't bleed through. It's close. But I actually almost hit it too far out there because of the second bounce of where the second bounce was. I think with an extra mile though, I'm not sure with an extra mile on like where your second bounce is, because I know my opponent and one of them shot with a katana, and they were right here was their red line. So the red line was right here with a katana. So your red line with a Titan is going to be out here. So like if you were out in this direction with an extra mile with max topspin, where's your second bounce? Because while a big topper may hit more distance, the direction that you're having to come in here and you're having to use the curl in order to bring yourself back over here, versus trying to pick a straighter line with an extra mile where you're on this target where you're trying to hit straight through it. I'd still want to set mine up a little bit one direction or the other and put a little bit of curl on it just to make sure that it went in that direction. But if you use an extra mile, your red line's out here where you can get into this whole mouth, then you can pick the direction that you want to come in at this. And you got to watch where the second bounce is. Your second bounce, if you can get your second bounce close so that it's, you have to ride along this edge. So you want to watch that second bounce and try and get that second bounce as close to the edge as possible. The closer it is to the edge, the bigger bounce you're going to get going forward. So even if you do clip the rough down here on this bounce, the farther into that rough you can get, your topspin's still working. So it'll pull you out into the front. So I'm going to try this with an extra mile. I've got a big topper and a power 4, but I don't know that a power 4 ball is going to net us anything more. The whole deal is it's about these second bounces. The first bounce out here is fun. We got this. We got the stuff, but I think my second bounce in my lower level account hit here, and I hit it so far in my main account that it actually went too deep. I have a higher level club in my upper level account, so that may be a shot that with the higher level club, it throws my distance off as far as these bounces, and I'm actually getting negatively affected because I have a higher level club. Because it looks really good. I mean, I got really good bleed out in my low level account. You can go back and watch there's a playlist on there for the low level stuff. Hole number 9. But I'm still working on this hole, but I think I'm going to circle it here. I'm going to bring an extra mile and a Titan. Or plus. Because, I mean, I really think these holes in this tournament, if it takes a 4 power ball, if it takes a 5 power ball, it's like the Eagle Peak holes when they came out in the tournament. You can play them one way when you're playing one-on-one. Like you can come out here and play this all kinds of different ways with all kinds of different balls, and you're probably going to end up, it's a low percentage Albie, right? But it's a pretty easy Eagle. But if you can come out here and take a short iron shot to get an Albie on this hole, this could be one of those holes that you go, yeah, I got a lot of my Albies on this hole. Especially during tournament play. All right. That was a very long-winded, what did that take? That took 43 minutes. All right. My goal today is I shot some videos last week on clubs, drivers, woods, I don't know, just talking about some clubs, making sure it helps me out when I talk about those clubs. I'm still stuck on long irons. I'm going back and looking at some of the long irons that you take for granted. All right, get up at the top of that bracket. So this was my practice accounts bracket. I'm thinking -12 is the minimum score, and you can see where we're at here. It took a -11 just to get in. These scores are going to go up as we get into the opening round. So the -12 is still a solid deal. These scores here aren't at the top. People are looking for, we're looking for the 14. We're looking for trying to pick up 2 on a side. So we still got a little bit of work to do. All right. That's going into the opening round. Those are my notes, and hopefully everybody has a great opening round. Just playing one hole at a time. Have fun. Thanks for watching.